So dimensioning works. Dimensioning is our next part here. We're going to try to measure out or actually place how big your project is on this drawing here. Okay. Uh, Make sure that you have another layer. Okay, so that your layer, instead of PS text, maybe you'll say now it is, let's see, new layer. New layer, it might be PS dash dim for dimensions. Okay, so I'll have that on there, and we'll use, for now, I'm just going to use red so that I could tell that I'm on a separate layer or a different layer. And PS dim I am going to set as current, and now I will be working on the PS dim layer. Okay. Uh, Again, there are little shortcuts to your dimension, which is this, right? But if you go to the Annotate tab, there is a full menu over here. Right now we're set as standard dimension, so if I select this right off, um, let's say I pick that to that point, right? And I get those set of dimensions with those sets of whatchamacallit, the arrow style and stuff like that. Do I want that? Do I like that? No, I don't. Okay, so let me change this. Just like in the text tab, we also have in a dimension this little dimension style manager. Okay, so once you call that up, you can keep the standard one so that you could change this one, or you could create a new one, right? And we could name it, uh, let's say, dim hyphen tick. Okay, I put the name tick because there are different style of dimension notations. Okay, and we'll start with the standard one. That's fine. Continue is I could put it to annotative style, but I'm not going to do that for this one. So I will continue in creation of this new dim tick style. Okay, so once I do that, new dimension style dim tick. This is where I can specify exactly what I want for my dimension lines to look like. Okay, start off with, I know it makes sense to start off from left to right because that's the usual way that it works, or usual way that we read, but sometimes I kind of found it a little bit easier to go from left to right. You can kind of find your own groove and and figure that out on your own. But let me explain what I'm doing. Okay, so tolerance. So that's the part that I'm setting as how it is going to position the text and such, right? Bottom, middle, top. If I put top, oh sorry, I'll just keep it at the middle. Alternative units. Sorry, that if you click on these things, it'll give you two sets of dimensioning. Like if you have if you're working with some country that uses the imperial system, right? The metric system. You could have our imperial system, the English system, 1 foot 3 inches or whatever, and it will convert it also and list it as metric as well. So that's a pretty good thing to have if you want to do that. Primary units, those weird goofy numbers that appear, that is because we did not set our units. Since we are architects, we are going to select the architectural units. And notice right off then that our preview says 1 inch, 3/16, and the angle and such, right? Precision, we want this as, I guess 16th would be fine for this drawing. Um, Function format, or horizontal, diagonal, not stacked. If I click on that, notice that our fraction changes to a completely horizontal style. If we change it to diagonal, notice that it changes to more of a diagonal look to the thing. Okay, um, so depending on your style, do you want it just vertical or set as a diagonal? That is going to be up to you. Sometimes as an architect, we use the not stacked style. However, that takes up a lot of horizontal space on your dimension line. So again, kind of figure this out, which style that you like on your own, and go from there. Okay. Um, Round off, that we don't need to deal with. Scale factor we don't need to deal with. Angular dimension, decimal degree is fine. Precision, it all depends on how precise we need to get with the angles. Okay, for us right now we don't need anything fancy, so we'll just leave it at that. Measurement scale factor, we'll just leave it as is. Zero suppression, that depends on if you want certain dimensions to appear as zero, like full. If I unclick on that, it'll say 0 foot hyphen 1 inch, right? But that's a little odd, so I would take that off. So it's always, inches are just showing up as inches. If I click this off, whenever we have like a 1 foot 0, that 0 is not going to show up on your screen. As architect, we do want to show that, but 0 in the front we do not want. Okay, so have that off, or have the inches off, unchecked, and have the feet checked on. Okay, and then moving back to your left, it will say fit. Okay, now this is where how your texts are going to appear between the lines there. So either where does the text go? You might always want to keep this between the axis line. Sometimes if you put it elsewhere, it's gonna take it somewhere we probably don't want. Okay, so keep it in between the extension line, these guys right here. Okay, and place text placement. When text is not in default position, place it besides the dimension line, over the dimension line with a leader, over dimension line without leader. That means that if it doesn't fit in here, if I have this besides the dimension line, it's going to say the 1 inch out in here somewhere. Okay. Scale for dimension features, annotative, that stuff we dealt with the other functions. Fine tuning, place measurement manually and stuff. We can do that when we actually put the text on there. Okay, so the next tab over is the text. Here we have the standard. Also, if you have created a bunch of text style, that also appears there as well. Okay, I'm going to keep mine as standard for now because it is going to be the 3/16 inch text, right? So I'll just keep that for now. Okay, text color, I always want to set it by block, or if you have to select the color, then you can, but by block is fine, because in that way it's always going to go into the whatever layer, and that's what's going to be set up. The fill color, that's the text color. If you're using this outline type of style, that will fill that out. Okay, text height. Here is where I set the text height of your whatever your your fonts. Okay, so if I have 1/8 inch, that will be good right there. Okay, the thing with fraction height, these fraction height, I could scale this down to 0.75 or something, and if I do that, wherever there is a fraction line, it's gonna make it a little bit smaller. Text placement, do I want it in the center or have it just above the line? Okay, and that in architectural drawing, having above the line is not too bad. In the horizontal, we'll keep it centered between the area, and view direction right to left, that's fine. Offset from dimension line, this part right here is how far it's away from your dimension line. Okay, so 3/32, that sounds pretty good, so let's keep it that for now. Next box over is the text alignment, and there we have horizontal align with dimension line or ISO standard. Horizontal, that means that the text will always appear in the horizontal format. If we select align with dimension line, it's always going to go whichever direction the dimension lines are going. So I would probably keep it at that one. Okay, and then we go over to the next tab, and then right here, the arrowheads. Right now we have the standard closed arrowheads. We named our dimension style tick. The reason for that is because I want to use the architectural tick for the dimensioning style. Okay, that looks like your standard drafting type of fonts, right, or style of drawing dimension. The arrow size, again, we might, I guess that's okay for now. We could get it somewhere to something a little bit more standard, like, whoops, 1/8 inch scale or 1/8 inch of arrow size. Center mark, that's this little, wherever you have a radius or something, this little crosshair, you could change that. Well, I guess this is alright right here. Okay, or you could select you don't want anything, you want a mark, or you just want a line between the, like make it look like a real target, I guess. But for architectural drawing, mark would just be fine. The break size for dimension break, that means that where you have these whatchamacallit, the dimension line leaders coming off of your object will be at 1/8 inch away, which is okay, I guess. And then the next thing to set would be the arc method proceeding. That's alright. Radius jog, that's fine. Jog height factor, that is, I guess, okay. Okay, so now the last tab over is the lines itself. These guys, right? So all of these probably should be kept by block, by block, by block. Extension beyond ticks. That's this horizontal line or whatever dimension length. If you click on that, if you expand that, you notice that it goes outside however many inches that you prescribe it to be. Baseline spacing, oh, that's this part right here. I guess that is alright. This part right here, suppress dim line 1, dim line 2, if you select any of those as part of your style, it will not, let's say, suppress dim line 2. One of your dim line will not be drawn. Okay, so that you only have this vertical line and that horizontal, and then you could go on and make a string of dimensions. However, that really doesn't matter anymore, because this was when the pen plotters were used, and we didn't want lines over lines over lines over lines. We used to do these suppression functions, but now the jet ink and all that, I guess I don't think it matters too much. Some may disagree, but oh well. Okay, so next box down is the extension lines. These are these guys up here. So extend beyond dimension line. If I shrink this up to something a little bit more recognizable, or what, right? Eighth inch, eighth inch. Okay, that looks somewhat okay, I guess. Offset from origin, you could change this up a bit, and that will change how far it is away from your edge, okay? Fixed length, I guess that's fine. So with that, after you say okay, that is your new dimension tick, okay? So dimension tick. You could also create several other dimension style using the exact same method, so that you can create maybe some dimensions with arrows pointing at them, or what, and that again is up to you. So now when we close this, we have a selection of whatever style that you have created, or the standard one. Okay, so that is how to create a dimension style. Next video will cover actual dimensioning itself.